gods wish to destroy, they first make mad. We must be mad, literally mad as a nation, to be permitted the annual inflow of some 50,000 dependents who are, for the most part, the material of the future growth of the immigrant descending population. It is like watching a nation busily engaged in heaping up its own funeral pile.
No, at all. So, of course, that's the great Enoch Powell, who will, of course, go down in history, has been on the right side of history, making his speech back in 1968, April 1968, about the coming takeover and destruction of the UK. I think it really needs pointing out, first and foremost, what he was concerned about was 50,000 people coming here a year. Now, I think under Blair, you'd be talking way up to about 300,000 people a year. And then back in the times of Brexit, 2016, 2015, you're talking around 500, 600,000 people coming here a year. And now, if this is to be believed, under Labour and, well, Conservatives at the start of the year, Labour at the end of the year, so they both just proves they're both as bad as each other. 900,000 people apparently within the last year have come to this country. And you can guarantee they've gone to big urban areas. They haven't gone to the countryside. They will have gone to hotels, they will have gone to London, they will have gone to Birmingham, Manchester, where they've got friends already, obviously. And they're setting up strongholds, you know. So it needs pointing out 50,000 per year versus 900,000 a year. So that's 18 times worse than what Enoch Powell was concerned about. According to this article, when William Conqueror came here in 1066, he came with 10,000 men. 10,000 men versus 900,000 men. And this leads me on to a YouTuber called Jimmy the Giant. And I've had a few comments back and forth with him. Well, one comment to be fair. Fair play to him. You know, he's got 500,000 subscribers. And I was very surprised that he replied to me the other night, near midnight. Because I think I commented on this video, the migrant crisis destroying Britain. So first of all, I've got to say you've done it correct, because you've done inverted commas for migrant crisis, which is what caught my eye. Because you're right, it is an inverted commas migrant crisis, because in reality it's an invasion and it's a colonisation. They even call it a reverse colonisation in London. And you've done it right that you put destroying Britain without inverted commas, because yes, it is destroying Britain. So you kind of somewhat shot yourself in the foot there. It's an invasion and it is destroying Britain. It's not a migrant crisis, it's an invasion. So he was saying basically during that video that the migrant crisis is, it was going on about refugees basically. And my point being, of course, well, how can you, surely you're not trying to claim that you can sustain nearly 1 million people coming here every year. And his reply was something along the lines of, you obviously didn't watch the video, it's more about the refugee thing. Now I replied with something along the lines of, they're not refugees, they've come through an entire continent to get here. And I haven't had anything back since then. If we were to change it, say if Britain was at war with, England was at war with Scotland, and all the English packed up and left to France, that'd be the first country they could see refuge, or Ireland if they went the other way. The Scottish, if they went to Norway, could claim refuge. If they decided to go through the whole continent and go to Afghanistan and then claim refuge, you're obviously not refugees because you've been through about 10, 20 countries. So again, you're talking bollocks. You know, I'm not going to sit through 39 minutes of you smugly telling me what what a refugee is in your opinion, because it's bollocks. You know, like what I've just said there. The real foreign invasion of Britain is a different one. Well, fair enough, he's talking about how we've been taken over by the financial sector, you know, oligarchs, Russian oligarchs, Chinese people taking over businesses, and so on. They've done it slippery by the back door, but yes, the invasion continues on the ground level, you know, on the beaches of Dover, where people are landing in the thousands. And then towns and cities are getting transformed beyond recognition. You know, in the first 23 seconds of that video, you're talking about if it was an invasion, it would mean it's like a colonising army where they take over institutions. And, well, what's Sadiq Khan in London with Labour? What's the Islamic Party? What's big areas of towns and cities now, you know, where they've been completely taken over. Oldham, Rochdale, Burnley, no end. The list is endless. You know, the areas that have been taken over by immigrant descended people and immigrants generally, to the point where towns and cities don't look like somewhere in northwest Europe anymore. Then on to James O'Brien. Unfortunately, I think I've turned this clip off. But anyway, James O'Brien was had a guest on the other day. I came across the short, and he was talking about we shouldn't be indoctrinating kids with climate change propaganda, or shouldn't be educating children about climate change. To a certain degree, I agree. We should teach kids to be respectful of the environment, definitely, but not teach them about how the planet's going to end tomorrow, because unless your mum and dad don't turn the light switch off or something like that. Here we are, here's a clip.
You don't need to teach them about climate disaster when you can teach them about, you know, ladybirds and dinosaurs and wonderful things like that.
Yeah. Well, how do you explain what happened to the dinosaurs?
So James O'Brien, admits it at the end. Dinosaurs went out because of an asteroid, allegedly, or a meteor. Of course, this affected the climate. I think it was greenhouse gases were released, and obviously some survived, such as the crocodiles, the alligators, Komodo dragons. But obviously others went extinct. I suppose it's the low-lying ones that would blow these gases probably survive better. But the thing is, it's again, what can kids do about this? Keir Starmer allegedly this year has been flying around on a private jet, sort of globe-trotting, right? He's using more fuel than any of us by going around the world in a private jet. But yeah, we're going to be teaching kids about how mummy and daddy's evil because they haven't got an electric car yet, and you should shame them until they get one. Do you know what I mean? Moving on to politicians, yeah, Lib Lab Con, you know, it proves beyond doubt Labour, Conservative are the two sides of the same coin. Same as Greens, Lib Dems, all them lot, you know. Conservatives at the start of the year, borders wide open, hotels full of migrants. Labour at the end of the year, hotels full of migrants. Some are even reopening the doors to migrants. Are they migrants, of course, or are they secret soldiers, shall we say, waiting for the old pokes in the arm to go wrong pretty soon, which they all encouraged as well. You know, they encouraged all these lockdowns and restrictions and pokes in the arm and etc., etc., because they work for the big dangerous club, you know, the big global elite that pull the strings in the background. Yeah, and the irony, of course, of Remembrance Sunday, when we've got 900,000 people landing here in 1 year. You know, then they're there for one time a year for the photo opportunities to lay a wreath and bow their heads. For people who don't believe in borders, but the people they're laying wreaths for believed in nationalities, believed in borders, because they thought they were defending Britain. Obviously, we know that's not the case now. And of course, just to add a bit extra in there, the hypocrisy is staggering as well with all these liberals. They preach about climate change and obviously indoctrinating kids with climate propaganda, Greta Thunberg sort of stuff, so we can churn out the next generation of Greta Thunbergs and people living in total anxiety and panic about the world ending tomorrow because they didn't put a plastic bottle in the recycling bin. But this leads me on to a TV programme I absolutely loved as a kid, Animals of Farthing Wood. I didn't really kind of get it as much as a kid, but it was a great programme. Excuse me. But of course, with hindsight, actually, this was probably the early stages of this creeping in with climate change stuff to kids. But the message is accurate. You know, if we keep tarmacking anything, we keep forcing nature out, we keep destroying natural habitats. But I want to say more than anything, it's you liberals that are causing it. You know, you're the kind of people who think it's totally acceptable to bring 1 million people in here every single year, and then wonder why there's less and less countryside, why you can't get doctor's appointments, why every single road at rush hour is in complete gridlock. You know, the amount of pollution you're causing, the amount of countryside you're destroying is it's really upsetting, you know, to think all these poor animals are being shoved out of their homes because some liberal twat driving an electric car who is open borders and pro refugees, and then has a cheek and a nerve to lecture somebody about climate change. Unbelievable. But anyway, that's my 2 pence on it. Cheers.